quick. So, in the first match of the evening and during the buy-in, which, as we were noting before the show started, basically was essentially a half-hour pre-show, or at least that's what it seemed like, because they did kind of distinguish all the hype packages and video packages, and then the actual buy-in at around 4:30 Pacific. That was when we had the first match of the night, our NWA Women's Championship match, uh, in which Serena Deeb managed to defeat Allysin Kay to retain, and was immediately met with an interesting cameo appearance of sorts by Thunder Rosa, clearly showing that the feud that's going on between them might be spilling out into AEW, and that's going to be interesting. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. But the first match of the night, this was actually a shock to myself and Chris. We were both watching this, in particular at the start. They started off with the finals of the Eliminator Tournament to crown a number one contender for the World Championship, and Kenny Omega actually defeated Hangman Page to win that, and so he's the number one contender for the AEW World Title. Second match of the night, Orange Cassidy taking on John Silver of the Dark Order. Slightly predictable, but Orange Cassidy did pick up a win over John Silver. After that, we had the AEW TNT Championship, in which Cody Rhodes, which we'll talk a little bit more about, defended against Darby Allin, and Darby Allin actually ended up picking up the victory on that one. So we now have a new AEW TNT champion. After that, we had the AEW Women's Championship between Hikaru Shida defending against Nyla Rose. Shida won that match to retain the title. And after that, we had the Young Bucks taking on FTR. They took on FTR for the AEW Tag Team Championship. They won that match, so now we have new Tag Team Champions as well. After that, we were in for an interesting treat. We had the Elite Deletion match, in which Matt Hardy took on Sammy Guevara, and after a very weird, very complicated, slightly convoluted match, we had Matt Hardy picking up the win over Sammy Guevara. In our semi-main event, we had MJF taking on Chris Jericho, with the stipulation that if MJF won, he would be able to join the Inner Circle. Yeah, the Inner Circle along with Wardlow. MJF managed to pick up a sneaky victory over Chris Jericho and is now part of the Inner Circle. And in our main event of the evening, we had the I Quit match, Jon Moxley defending against Eddie Kingston for the AEW World Championship, and Jon Moxley defeated Eddie Kingston when Eddie finally said "I quit" after having almost like a sleeper hold type choke with barbed wire across his face or under his chin. Finally said "I quit," meaning that Jon Moxley is still the AEW World Champion. And so that is the quick and dirty rundown of the show, and I'm going to let Chris take it away to start off our conversation about this show, because wow.
So, we had the pre-show match, Allysin Kay taking on Serena Deeb for the NWA Women's Championship. A couple things I had remarked when we were watching it all together. The fact that Allysin Kay was making her AEW debut. Now, it was nice that she's actually a former NWA champion, which I did not know before they announced that. So that was kind of different. But I was thinking to myself, was like, aren't there other women in the division who have AEW contracts to at very least make this, to make the result in doubt? Like, was Big Swole too busy, or Penelope Ford,
Yeah,
or any of the top 5 women? Like, that would have made more sense to me. Not another Layla Hirsch, who was the challenger last week. But I guess Allysin Kay, former champion, was and then Thunder Rosa showed up at the end. Okay. We spent a lot of time, especially early on in our shows, criticizing the women's division for not being there. So it is nice to see that they're doing something.
yeah.
And right, Thunder Rosa is a big name. Serena Deeb, all right. Allysin Kay, I guess, is a name. I don't know, how much longer she'll stick around at AEW. But, and they were even promoting a women's match for Wednesday, right? So throughout the show, we got promos for Tay Conti versus Red Velvet, which I don't really care about either of those characters right now, but they're trying. They're promoting, Penelope Ford's, of course, always involved in the show. Your women's champion's mostly involved, so on and so forth. So they're trying, right?
I mean, honestly, like you said, we've had the conversation before in regards to the AEW Women's Champion or the AEW's Women's Division, and the fact that we've the last couple, especially these last couple pay-per-views, we've now had the NWA Women's Championship make some kind of what's the term, like some kind of appearance slash reference and things.
Right.
So
I mean, we essentially got 2 women's title matches on the show, which I think is still a positive overall, even if when they do this NWA championship, the results are not in doubt, which I think is probably my biggest criticism of them. Is
yeah.
they haven't really given us a reason yet to think that the NWA title could change hands.
Yeah, so I mean, it's yeah, and I think it was interesting because this was something we even talked about throughout the time that we were watching the match. We were like, okay, like you said, at least we have a former champion basically looking to try to regain it through this match. So that was good. It did make it kind of made up for the fact that Allysin Kay isn't, as far as I know, is not signed to AEW.
No.
So
it did make up for that.
And then
I still feel a little bit weird about spending pay-per-view spots on independent talent as opposed to their roster talent. I mean, it was pre-show.
Yeah.
Like I said, I would have seen, even with something like, if you don't want to lose the momentum of someone like Big Swole, then Diamante or Ivelisse, they're not really doing anything important. That's really the only thing I would change about how they presented that, or at least sign Allysin Kay first, right?
Yeah.
Her part of the roster. The roster's thin right now, but it's getting better. So I think actually signing her would have at least helped put the match in doubt a little, because then the title stays within the company, even though it's an NWA title, not the AEW title. But yeah. All right. I don't think there's too much to say on the pre-show match. It happened.
No, yeah, it happened. It was a good match, but it happened. Yeah.
I mean, I guess the biggest notable thing is Thunder Rosa. If they're going to continue that program with Serena Deeb, that'll put a little bit more teeth on this.
Yeah. I agree with that too.
Only help, kind of embolden the division a little bit. I'm hoping that other AEW will get involved here. Serena Deeb's a face, where Dr. Britt Baker DMD would be perfect for this spot.
Yeah, I can see that as well. That was the other thing that I definitely wanted to make note of from all this, was the appearance of Thunder Rosa. I do think it'll be interesting to see what happens, because this was another thing we had discussed, was as far as we knew, Thunder Rosa wasn't signed to AEW as well. So it is there's still that focus on.
I think she is signed, but I thought I saw that news.
Well, I haven't seen anything about her actually signing. There was a big news piece about the fact, there was a lot of speculation because of her losing the title to Serena, because Serena is signed to AEW. She was already signed prior to their title match. So it was more a question of, okay, so when
Thunder Rosa going somewhere exclusive,
right? So there was a big question about the rumors about oh, does this mean she's actually going to WWE? Does this mean she's signing with AEW, more exclusively? What's the situation with her NWA obligations or what have you? And we even discussed this during that point in the buy-in as well. As far Billy Corgan did confirm that she is signed to NWA, but as Chris pointed out, that doesn't necessarily mean exclusively so. So
so for context, because we can't reference a conversation no one else heard.
No, right.
I said that just because someone signed an NWA doesn't do exclusive contracts like the WWE does.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
you can be signed for NWA and still make appearances elsewhere. All right, let's go to the next match. So we open up the show with the World Title Eliminator Tournament final. Kenny Omega facing off against Hangman Adam Page. One thing of note that happened during the match, or for the match, is Impact Wrestling EVP Don Callis joined commentary. So Don Callis, I know, is like a old school commentator, and right now he's one of the executive vice presidents of Impact Wrestling. So Impact kind of got a shout out, an acknowledgement.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, as a fan, it's like a stark, like, whoa, really?
Yeah.
Like, even though we know that AEW is willing to acknowledge the independents and have a relationship with independents and bring in independent wrestlers, it's still because we're so conditioned to WWE. Like, just casual mention of Impact Wrestling was like, wait, what? What's going on here?
Yeah,
you know, it's the kind of thing that would be newsworthy in WWE, but for AEW, it's just like, yeah, I mean, there's other wrestling. We acknowledge that, which I think helps with the realism of the product. You know, just acknowledging they're out there.
Yeah, I will say, like, I think what surprised me the most about it was just the fact that it was Impact being mentioned. Like you said, like that, you know, they've been open to referencing other wrestling organizations and have like really dug deep on looking back on wrestling history. But there's something about the fact that it was Impact. That's all. But like they pointed out, Don Callis saw both Kenny and Hangman during their run in New Japan, like because he's done commentary for New Japan as well. So there's a specific context and a specific history there, and so I thought that was really cool and added to that match.
I agree. But as for the match itself,
meh.
You know, we got the result we expected. Hi, James. Welcome back.
Yeah.
You can switch the screen back now, I think. There we go. So we're just talking about the first match now.
Yeah.
You know, Hangman Adam Page versus Kenny Omega. Kenny, of course, did us another ladder over the top entrance with the brooms and the girls in the unitards. At least they're not wearing nude color unitards this time.
Oh yeah,
like they did the first time I think he did it. They literally wore nude color, and I was just like, "What the hell? This is awful. Why would anyone wear nude color anything?" I have no idea. But beyond that, over the top entrance, I thought it was actually a decent match, like to start the show with. I'm not into Hangman Page that much, but I think this is probably the best match he's had in AEW. He's grown into his character a little bit more, as much as his character is, you know, blah blah blah, that guy. But just being a little more bitter about everything, about the match and the finish, and being bitter about losing, like, to me, that's more interesting than what he was trying to be before. You know, this tag team with Kenny Omega. I mean, when he first got the title shot against Chris Jericho, you know, last year, it's more interesting to me now. So, you know, I'm hopeful that maybe he'll be entertaining. And I really like Kenny Omega's new direction. I know it's not new if you've watched New Japan Wrestling. It's basically just being that guy again, but it's new to American audiences, American wrestling, and it's a good direction. You know.
I mean, he was going that route. He shouldn't do the dancing girls. I mean, that's so New Japan. That's so New Japan. The dancing girls are so New Japan. It's like most people are gonna look at that and like go, what?
Well, I mean, I even made note of that. I was like, yeah, that's because when Chris and I were talking, it was like that's it's a New Japan entrance down to how and. Yeah. Yes, he's been doing it for a few weeks now, but it's just, you know, it makes sense.
I think that's the point, right?
Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, for me, it was an okay match. It was okay. It's the opening of the show. I know what they're trying to establish the show off into a good pace. I can see why they put it there. So, I mean, it is what it is, and it was who I expected. It was who I expected to win, though. So.
We all predicted Omega, so that's fine. One thing I appreciate about it, and I think we've kind of run into this problem a lot recently, is it felt like it was constantly moving, which was helpful in terms of my enjoyment of it for the first match tonight. It was constantly moving. You know, even when they had a rest hold, it was like commentary was like, well, he's got to recover, so we're doing a rest hold real quick. Okay, cool. But it was back and forth action. It didn't really stop. It didn't get slow. It didn't get quit. Hangman, quit. Quit, man, quit.
Right.
Sometimes that wrestling falls into.
Yeah.
Especially we saw in the later matches that happened a lot. So it was a nice kind of contrast to that as well. And the finish, I mean, some of the bumps they took, like Omega getting power bomb in the ramp head first. Oh my god. And all those pile driver, like, I have a hard time watching the pile driver variations because I'm just thinking, God, this dude's dead, just dead.
Yeah.
It's unnecessary. You don't need to do all those pile driver variations and everything like that.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's one of my symptoms of it's over too many many moves that doesn't need to be done. It is, but as you can see,
outside of the U.S., pile drivers are very popular for some reason. Like they're popular in Mexico too. Like we see Penta El Cera and Rey Fenix do pile drivers all the time too. It just seems to be a thing that's popular in other countries, and so Omega and Page, of course, worked in Japan. Like,
right.
I'm not gonna fault them for their style that much.
No, I feel it. I understand. Like we said,
right? Because you get the American style with Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston. It's kind of
actually. Well, no.
So we kind of get the contrast, or even with Cody and Darby Allin, that was more American than anything else, But yeah, Alex.
Yeah, I mean that. I for one definitely enjoyed the match, but like to me the pacing was good. Oh yeah, no, I'm just like I enjoyed the match. I do like. I mean, it is one of those things where it's like, yes, the outcome was basically as expected, but I mean that doesn't always present itself as a problem. I think like in this case, like it was more about like seeing. To me, it was a lot about seeing how Hangman was throughout this match because like of everything that they've been doing with him and his character leading up to this point. So it's like I feel like maybe we'll start to see some changes. I think James brought it up on Thursday, like this is the kind of situation where like an actual loss, like could potentially be what sparks him making some changes to how he acts and how he behaves.
I think we saw at the end of the match where he refused to, congratulate Kenny on winning the match.
I didn't understand, and one thing that threw me off was I thought Omega was running as the heel in this.
He is.
He is.
But why did he try to shake his hand and everything at the start of the match? And it was Omega that was initiating. I was like, why is Omega trying?
He's doing this like cocky, I'm better than everyone heel thing. So of course, since I'm better than you, I'm going to shake your hand. That's kind of what he's going for.
Yeah.
He's going for he's better than everyone else.
Well, I mean,
that doesn't fit when I'm better than you angle. I'm trying to shake your hand. That's more of a I respect what you are and everything.
It's gamesmanship.
Yeah, because in fairness, if you look at this match and a lot of the stuff around between Kenny's
again Japan, hands.
Yeah, because in Japan,
that sportsmanship
and respect is everything in that kind of style of match.
It doesn't jive with what he's trying to come off. That's why it threw me off because that's what a face does. So
I mean, he could have also taken the hand and tried to do an arm bar with it afterwards. Like we don't know because Page never returned the favor.
Right. I mean that's I mean that's a fair question, but I don't really have an answer. Is kind of what it boils down to.
It makes sense to me for what he's trying to do. I think so.
All right, we'll move on. What's next?
So the next match was the grudge match between freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy and John Silver, the Dark Order. John 4 Silver. What a silly way to do that. He's number 4 of the Dark Order. He's the powerhouse of the Dark Order, even though he's this high.
I know, man.
I gotta say, with the exception of there was a sequence in the beginning where John Silver was just kind of slowly throwing Orange Cassidy around, which I hate. I'm really starting to just slow pace matches. Other than that, I actually thought this may.
What was this thing with him putting his hands in his pockets, and Silver's like, "Oh, don't do it! Just punch him!"
That's fine. That happens in Orange Cassidy match.
Just punch him, kick him.
Everyone's like insulted by it.
Just don't.
Like, oh boy, is this a part where I get to explain to James what entails an Orange Cassidy match?
You don't need to explain the Orange Cassidy match. You don't have time for me to try to understand it.
I think probably out of all the matches tonight, this is the one I enjoyed the most. Because it was like,
just don't try to explain the Orange Cassidy match to me. Just no.
Okay, I will.
I thought it was a good match.
When he did that, I understand. I actually understand what Cassidy is trying to do, and I actually understand the style he's using now.
Yeah.
I do know that style, and I actually got that reference from an anime fighting. I was watching anime on Netflix, and someone does that style that Orange Cassidy does, pockets basically. Uh-huh. And so I understand what he's trying to do with it. So I get it.
It's mind games.
I get it.
Right,
so
right. Okay. I'm just making sure.
But it's just...
I really enjoyed the match. It's probably my favorite match of the night.
I will give you this. He can...
And John Silver, like, where has this guy been? Like, this guy's so good.
He's actually, I think they're doing him a disservice, to be truth, being in Dark Order. I think he shouldn't have been in the Dark Order. I think he actually could have just came in as a legit, worker. He can work.
You're actually saying what commentary was saying at the man match. It's like, John Silver should leave the Dark Order and go for the TNT title. Like, oh, okay.
I mean, yeah.
I guess that's an endorsement.
Yeah,
there we go.
He was pretty awesome in the match. Like, he's entertaining. And his moves. Alone.
Yeah.
Like, I love that pump kick thing he does.
Yeah.
It looks good, and then the I'm Mighty Mouse kind of thing.
Yeah. Just on work alone, I think he's fine. I mean, he's like Adrian Neville's original gimmick. He's Mighty Mouse. He's crisp. I mean, I will admit, I will be honest with you. He's very crisp. He's very smooth. I think he well versed. He looks, like I said, the only thing is his look and everything. He fits in the cruiserweight division, and because he's small, but.
They changed his look up a little bit that I thought was subtle. He didn't like shave his head. He's got now stubble and stuff, and he's got stubble everywhere, and it just looks more gritty that way.
He has he has the hair around the side and bald up the center. But
but I mean he just like didn't shave. It was more like normally he has like
it looks like C.W. Anderson
here, but he didn't shave like the rest of his face, and he didn't shave his head, and it just a little more grittier. And I was like, yeah, I'm into this.
Did he look a little bit? He looked a little like C.W. Anderson. I remember from ECW, CW, Anderson, but
he's just a little grittier, and not as silly as he has been. Like I'm ready to see more John Silver, and John Silver was undefeated coming into this match as a single star. He's 1-0, so
yeah, that's better than Peter Avalon and them were.
But yeah, I mean, Orange Cassidy is still kind of like this upper mid Carter star, so he has to win. Like, and I love Orange Cassidy. Anyway, we good?
Yeah.
All right. Then we'll go to the TNT Championship match. Cody Rhodes and Darby Allin. Darby Allin defeats Cody Rhodes for the TNT Championship, and it is in fact Cody Rhodes, as Justin Roberts was nice to explain. Apparently, unbeknownst to us, Cody got his last name back, so that was exciting. And I think we lost James again. So can you switch the screen back to just us?
Yep.
I think he's having some connectivity problems tonight, but that's okay because we can still talk. I know you and I were pretty excited about them saying Cody Rhodes, and we were like, and I was thinking to myself when Justin Roberts was delivering his entrance, because he was like, and the challenger, the TNT champion, the American Nightmare. And I was like, why is he doing that, Cody Rhodes? Like Justin Roberts does. I'm like, oh, okay.
I know. I saw the nameplate.
I was waiting for
a minute.
Because he always went the American Nightmare, and I cannot do Justin Roberts justice, but
Oh, just wait till we get to the main event, then you can.
Oh my gosh, I'll still do it. But I why did WWE ever let Justin Roberts go? Oh my God, he is so amazing. Honestly, now that AEW has given Justin Roberts freedom, because I know he would never be able to do this. I mean, he did like John Cena, but that was like all he ever did.
Yeah.
Anyway, Darby Allin beats Cody Rhodes finally. Finally, the right result. Definitely, in my opinion. We kind of saw Cody reverting to his frustrated and cocky, and he did the push-ups in the middle of the match. He got frustrated with Darby Allin, keep kicking out. Arn Anderson was screaming at Darby Allin to quit, that kind of thing. And Darby Allin gets this nice little pin at the end, wins the title. Cody shows some respect, and then, Team Taz comes out and beats them up, and then Will Hobbs comes out and makes the save eventually, although it took him a long time to make the save.
Yeah.
And I was praying for Will Hobbs to turn on Darby Allin, but it didn't happen. What'd you think?
Yeah, like I overall enjoyed this. I know the big things I had made note of was like we were once again having Cody acting very heelish throughout, especially like and the other thing like that and targeting the arm of Darby Allin with like the hammerlock and stuff like that, like hammerlock variations on different moves. But then, like, he did a particular move, and he, like, started doing push-ups after, and Arn was yelling at him from, like, he was just like, stop it. Like, very much being the coach that he needed to be in that moment. He was like, no, stay on him. Don't lose focus.
Why?
Which I thought was actually
why
pretty
Cody
good.
is so inept that he's a coach out on ringside, but whatever.
Well, again, see, this is the thing. Like, it feels like everything's being built up for him to really heal it up, but he's still being presented as a face, which then that becomes like it's a little disjointed, I think. But like the match, like beyond that, like the match was really good. It was interesting to see some of the different spots involved. I got a big cringe out of watching the like Cody just basically throwing Darby out of the ring and like him landing on his arm. That was pretty rough to see.
Oh my gosh, that was brutal.
Like,
that was good.
And then like again, the post-match stuff was also very interesting to watch because it did pretty much play out kind of as I think you pointed out. Like Darby Allin, Darby Allin winning means that the TNT title gets kind of brought into the fold of Darby's fight with Team Taz, basically. Cody getting kind of involved, so I'm not entirely sure what we're gonna see with that. If that means like,
I think they might finally pull the trigger on the Nightmare Family versus the Dark Order, kind of transition back over to that without the TN title being in the way.
I think so.
Or it might be like versus the Family, because they've been sort of teasing that too. I mean, there's a lot of interwoven stories in there.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next. So yeah, overall it was a good match. I mentioned this on Thursday, but to be really honest, I'm glad Cody's not the champion anymore. Whatever happens next, we now have someone other than Cody with the title.
What I'm really happy about is Allin is now the first like homegrown star, homegrown male star, because the women are all kind of homegrown in a sense. The first homegrown male star to pick up a title in AEW.
Yeah.
Because before that, the TNT, it was Brody Lee and Cody, who are both WWE guys. For the World Championship, it's just been Chris Jericho and Jon Moxley, who are both WWE guys. Like, even the tag titles. SCU was really kind of they're already made a name for themselves, and then we have who had the titles between SCU? Oh, Kenny Omega and Hangman Page. I mean, they're like big Japan guys. So Darby Allin's like the first guy. Like the first homegrown talent to really get his hands on a title.
Yeah.
Which I think is awesome. Yeah. Okay. We'll go to the next match.
Yep.
All right. So we're going to do the AEW Women's Championship match. Hikaru Shida defended her title against Nyla Rose. This was a pretty competitive match. I didn't really appreciate how close in size they actually are. I don't know if it would be, and I remarked this to you, whether I thought Nyla was actually bigger than she actually was, or if I thought Shida was smaller than she actually was, because we did see at times where Shida was actually suplexing, Nyla Rose and slamming her and stuff like that we don't normally see. I was thinking Nyla Rose is closer to Nia Jax in size, but I guess not. But that's okay, because that's fine, because then it allows them to have more competitive matches in a way that sometimes is difficult with such size experiments in the women. But we got Vicky Guerrero involved a couple times. She did a kendo shot to Shida early when the referee wasn't looking. Later there was a bump. Later she stopped Shida from doing her finisher and then took a bump from Nyla. But Hikaru Shida retains her title after like 5 or 6 knees at the end of the match there.
Yeah.
I don't know what calls the knee, but it's like a shining wizard, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I mean, yeah, the match was interesting. Like, there was definitely it was interesting to see. There was a sense of brutality to it without going overboard, like we'd kind of seen in other ones. Just like there was some, because there was hard hitting strikes from both ladies. It was interesting to see like Vicky Guerrero getting involved throughout those match, and then like the post match stuff. Like, to be honest, the post match where like Vicky was basically yelling at Nyla and then walking off. That was a little jarring because I think I was just, yeah, the whole thing was a little confusing. But the match before that I thought was pretty good.
I thought the match was pretty good. Probably the best women's match that AEW's done.
Yeah,
I think
that's certainly possible. I think
so, because I mean, in terms of like the Nyla Rose and Hikaru Shida are probably the two most established characters at this point who are not Dr. Britt Baker DMD.
Right.
So you could, I guess, care about them a little bit more. Like, I'm a big fan of Hikaru Shida, what she's done over the last 5-6 months as the champion. Yeah, she doesn't get to do much besides wrestle, but when she wrestles, she is just so good in the ring.
Yeah.
And Nyla's like the only other developed character from the beginning. Unfortunately, Dr. Britt Baker DMD was injured for most of her tenure so far, and no one else has really gotten the character time that Nyla has. So,
yeah,
hopefully it's a sign of things to come into the division, because we have this NWA title now. We did the Women's Tag Team Cup a couple months ago, or not cup, whatever, medals, whatever the Diamante and Ivelisse have.
Yeah.
So they're trying, right? I think they need to find someone else to put the title on. Like, for me, when I pitched this when I did the Miro video, is put the title on Penelope Ford somehow, because I think she's probably the most established character in the women's division. But unfortunately, because she's valeting half the time, we don't get to see that.
Yeah, I was. It made me think that.
Or put the title on Dr. Britt Baker. Like, we gotta get it on someone who can.
Yeah, I mean
run the division.
I mean, that's.
She doesn't love it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing to me though, is we had like, it was something we even talked about on Thursday, in regards to the women's division, because, for example, Leva Bates was brought up in conversation on Thursday, but she's basically a manager as well at the moment, because she's the other librarian in the pair between her and Peter Avalon, and so it's like
they're over. Although we did see her in her librarian outfit.
Well, no, that's exactly it. Like, as far as we can tell,
she's still the librarian.
Yeah, she's still the librarian for all intents and purposes. But the point is that she's been a manager, and her and Penelope would be great, like, talent to see in ring wrestling. But they have different roles at the moment, and it's just kind of, I don't know. It's hard for I don't want to say it, but it's kind of whatever at this point when it comes to that side of it.
Something. Like I said, they still feature Big Swole. She needs something a little bit more, I think, to like be the top face, but she could be, because she's a lot of fun. She was a lot of fun on Dark last night, so, or I guess 2 nights ago at this point. Silly time zones.
Yeah.
Anyway. So, Tag Team Championship match. FTR defending against the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks lose and never challenge for the titles again, so they won.
I can sense in your tone and in your face how much you just want to move on from that, because like
this kind of. I made a joke about this match being like, this is my piss break match. I did watch, of course, the entire match because I'm a professional. It was fine. I thought, I think the best part about the match was the injured leg thing with, I don't remember which one it was, Matt or Nick, but to the point where they took off his foot, or not his foot, took off his boot towards the end of the match and made him wrestle barefoot.
Yeah.
Although it's a little weird that was the foot that delivered the super kick that won the match. I guess maybe you shouldn't wear boots, and Matt Riddle's right. You know, your foot's harder if there's no boot in the way.
Yeah.
So, like, I like the Bucks better as heel than I ever did as face. I like the money coming down from, you know, the ceiling in the entrance, them being rich pricks, that kind of thing. There's still a little bit disconnect in terms of like who their character is and kind of what they do in the ring. And certainly I don't dislike the big moves and every single thing. I just context maybe, you know.
Yeah. No, I mean overall I enjoyed the match. Once again, it's one of those things where it's like the outcome was almost never in question. Even I think the closest thing to it being in question was like the injury angle that happened throughout the match as well. But like, yeah, I enjoyed it. I actually quite enjoyed like some of the, like we've talked about a little bit here and there, but like some of the finishes, the way that they do some of these finishes is interesting. And like
the finish doesn't really jive with like because they ended up doing a lot of like finishers from like famous tag teams in the middle of the match. Like I think FTR did like the 3D.
Yeah,
at one
yeah, no,
point.
yeah, that was exactly. They
So then we noted that, and then the finish is Cash Wheeler doing something uncharacteristic. He did like a springboard 450.
Yeah, and commentary made note of that. It's like he left his feet, so to speak.
But
Like,
remember these guys were fists, no flips.
Yeah, no flips, just fists, and
yeah,
that is basically what cost them, as was pointed out.
It was a little but the disconnect here was just, you know, oh, I missed the splash, and then I got kicked in the face, and then I got pinned. Considering, like, you know, the finisher spam that ended up happening in the match, that's kind of the most jarring disconnect for me. I would have liked to see maybe another Meltzer driver at the end or something, just like a finisher at least. Let him, even
something
if
a little more definitive.
Yeah, something a little more definitive. Like, you know, he missed the splash. Great. Meltzer driver, 3 count. Boom. Or, you know, whatever they do. You know, super kick or dual super kicks, whatever.
Right.
Also, they shouted out DIY, which was fun.
I know. I was like, wait, did they do? They did.
They did. They did Meeting of the Minds.
Okay.
Like, okay, DIY, awesome.
I'll take it. That's great. Yeah. But yeah, So yeah, it was a good match. Result was expected, but I mean, I don't know. I feel it's funny because I also feel like I kind of don't know if I would have wanted the alternative, which was for them to enforce their own stipulation that they made, only for them to just not do it, because like we discussed before, that was something they sort of imposed upon themselves rather than the company or FTR actually putting that on them. They put that on themselves, and I'm not sure I would have wanted to see them. I'm not entirely sure that I would have wanted to see them actually try to enforce that in whatever way they were thinking about. So, I mean, that part of it was what it was, but the match itself was good. I'm curious to see where the tag division as a whole goes, because I feel like there's been enough. Like, there's been a good amount of tag team action overall, like, that I've seen out of AEW, so that's good at least. But yeah, it'll just be interesting to see what happens from here. So yeah, you know, so we got new tag. Just as a quick note, like, this was interesting because it's like, usually, especially with WWE, I feel like it's always easier for me to like specifically pick. Like, or specifically say, oh, the champs are definitely going to retain, because you don't see it very often. And then tonight we had we had 2 title changes tonight. You know, we had Darby Allin winning the TNT title, and the Bucks winning the tag title. So that's kind of cool. So yeah, so I think that's going to cover it for that.
Yeah.
We will move on.
Yeah, we got a Ultimate Deletion.
Gosh. Oh boy.
It was fun at times. And at times it didn't make any sense, and not because it was like in the broken universe. It just didn't make sense from a storytelling standpoint. I enjoyed the golf cart and the monster truck.
Oh yeah,
I enjoyed the brawl all over the property. I even enjoyed the fireworks battle.
I didn't understand some of the, and okay, there are things to understand with me because like I on Thursday I brought up all the different deletion matches that had happened before.
Yeah.
I didn't see the final deletion, the like original one of the set, until much later. I never actually got to see Deleter Decay. I watched Ultimate Deletion. And and all these, like, it's just so weird. But the only kind of gripe that I have with this match from that standpoint is that I feel like Tony Khan like watched the other ones and was like, okay, well, we're not doing that, we're not doing that, we're not doing that, and we're not doing that. But they still hit most of the notes of the other deletion matches. And yes, like our friend Rob is pointing out in chat, I do want to talk a little bit about our good buddy Gangrel, aka David Heath. I feel bad for JR. He did not seem to know which name to go by, even though Gangrel is not a WWE licensed name.
To be honest, I was like, do WWE own Gangrel? I feel like WWE would own Gangrel.
They've always had to pay some kind of, like, they've always had to make some kind of agreement with White Wolf Publications or something, because Gangrel's like a trademark through them.
No, really the only thing I think that didn't make sense from a storytelling standpoint was Private Party and Proud and Powerful, and
who gave us a bonus tag match during the freaking Elite Deletion.
Yeah, we got like a bonus tag match.
I was like, wait a minute.
It was like to make up the lack of wrestling that happens. Like, here's a tag team match.
Because we also, because we had that moment where they started, where Sammy and Matt basically chased each other off away from the ring area towards the Lake of Regeneration or Reincarnation, and so you had like a little bit of a tag match happening there. And yeah, again, Gangrel showing up. Come on.
It was silly. Actually, the only cameo that made sense to me was Shane.
Oh, that was great.
So that was funny.
I'm gonna be honest with you, that was great. I would have liked them to go a little bit further with the reincarnation stuff, but maybe.
I know you were.
I was ready for that,
Helms,
or give me the Gregory Helms that like had the weird Titantron that was just like his sunglasses. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. But I mean, giving us the reporter and the superhero Hurricane Helms, that was fine. That was fine for what it worked. The only thing that I really didn't vibe with was like the ending, the very end, the very finish.
Yeah.
That was it was a little much for me. Like, it was just like, okay, hold on. I was just like, okay, let's pump the brakes here for a second, because last pay-per-view we got the match that like brought the mood down for the rest of the night almost. Between those two, and then that finish almost brought the entire mood down of everything, at least from the rest of the match.
I'm starting to find that AEW is doing a little bit too much reliance on the blood and gore, like that. It was not necessary for this match.
Yeah, like,
the only match it was necessary for was the main event, but we saw it in several matches just because.
Yeah. So.
I'm not sure if it's incidental or not. Like, because I think Page got busted open. I think Cody.
I think so.
If he didn't, he usually does.
But yeah, I mean, and like, I will say that like it was.
Plus in the tag match, I think there was blood as well.
Oh yeah. Dash's hand, I think he got cut open or something like that.
Now I don't know if those blood spots are intentional or not, but. It could possibly be that those are all accidents and it's just kind of happenstance.
Yeah.
But it's becoming a little too much for me. Like I don't want AEW to be a deathmatch promotion. I don't want to watch death matches.
Right. And I think, we can talk about.
Thankfully, no one brought any light.
Yeah. Oh gosh. But yeah. So aside from that ending, the match was good. The match was fun to watch for me. The ending, the one thing I will say about the ending is that at least it was not as bad as pretty much everything that happened last pay-per-view. Like that much I'll give them credit for. But it was
they
protected
it
time
by having the cinematics and They showed that they redid the table dive, but they showed it off camera so that they could actually set it up and not have anyone get hurt.
You think they should have did this for the last match?
This is kind of what I was saying about, like, on Thursday I mentioned this is kind of what they should have done before.
Welcome back,
James. But aside from that, the match was fun. It was a little chaotic. I joked that you could call me Broken Alex Smiley because I just could not handle the amount of insanity that was.
What did you think about Ultimate Deletion, James? All right then. All right, so
he comes back just to let us know. That's okay. I'm still.
I don't have much.
No, I understand.
My whole thought.
All right, so we'll go back to our semi-main event. It was Chris Jericho versus MJF. If MJF wins, he gets to join the Inner Circle, and lo and behold, he pins Chris Jericho, and he gets to join the Inner Circle. So that's exciting. I actually thought it was a pretty good match. So, like most matches on the card, I think it was actually pretty good.
Again, you already knew he was going to win. It was just like they built all this up and everything to not let him get in.
Right. I mean, the story is now going to be what happens after he's in, because the rest.
He's going to take over.
Yeah, but I mean,
he's going to take over.
Sometimes predictable storytelling is fine if it's logical. It's okay.
But it's already been done, though, and that's the thing. This has already been done. Yes, this is The Rock. This is basically the Nation, The Rock, over again. Just a different start to
All right, there's no such thing as a unique idea anymore.
Let's put that to the side for a second, because it's not like you're gonna get the most original idea in wrestling.
But you don't have to do it like this. And honestly, he doesn't need the Inner Circle. He's fine on his own. He doesn't need to do the Inner Circle. What will probably happen is, what they will do is probably Wardlow will spin off first. Probably had a fight with people in the circle.
I think Wardlow's going to have a face. They're teasing a Wardlow face.
Yeah, Wardlow's going to turn face. They're going to do that. But essentially, he's going to take over. Jericho's going to, basically turn face. He's going to take over the Inner Circle. It's going to become his group. And then they can have that. So Jericho can then turn to essentially face and then fight the Inner Circle and everything. They're setting that up. And that might take another year and everything, but they're going that route. That's the route they're going.
That's fine.
I do want to give some props for this match, though, because I like the moments where they almost seem to try to out heel each other, and it wasn't.
Yeah,
it also wasn't overboard,
funny.
but it was just enough that they had some really good stuff. I like the the way that they brought in that ring that MJF has, and having Jericho try to top that by trying to use the baseball bat on him, and how that led to the finish. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Again, Eddie Guerrero.
Oh, yeah,
so
exactly.
Good.
I mean, I was like, oh, okay.
Okay, but that's fun, right?
And then the roll-up. I was like, see, this is the best.
I'll be honest with you, my whole thought right now
is... That's okay. I thought this was the best implementation of a roll-up finish that I had seen in a little while.
They're grabbing
that was a lot of fun. Arguing with the ref over the baseball bat after pretending to get hit by it, and then rolling him up, and the ref doesn't blink twice and just goes, "This is great." Yeah, awesome.
Okay.
He got fooled.
Yeah.
And which I think that was the right finish for the match. I thought they might go with the tap out because of the his finisher being the salt of the earth, the Fujiwara armbar, and that he was working on Jericho's arm.
Oh yeah, I made a
joke.
I made a joke to Chris about, man, can you imagine if Jericho lost to an arm bar, of all things?
And maybe that'll still happen in the future, because I know this story is not over. It's going to be
that's fine.
Partnership / feud for a bit. Maybe they'll do a run as a tag team. Like, that'd be cool.
Probably they would go that with the Young Bucks are the champions. They can have them run at them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They could be the heel to the Young Bucks. I mean, that might be the smart. That might be the way to go.
They'll be the face. Sorry, MJF and Chris Jericho are getting over. They're going to be the face in that feud.
No, everybody's over on the Young Bucks.
Everybody's
over on the Young Bucks anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, overall, it was a good match. I'm glad that things went the way that they did, and now we'll see MJF hopefully do what we think is going to happen, because that's one of those situations where I'm excited to see that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty awesome. All right. Main event. Oh, we'll be doing Of course, it was Jon Moxley defending his World Championship in an I Quit match against Eddie Kingston, and it was kind of a death match.
Did I call that?
Yeah, you called it.
I know. It was not. I mean, it was going to always be that way. Probably the weakest match of the night for me because I don't really like the death match style matches. But Jon Moxley does get the barbed wire around Kingston's throat, and Kingston says, "I quit." Like he just says it. It was kind of anticlimactic in the way he did it too, because it was weird that it was barbed wire was the thing that decided to make him quit and not something else. But I don't know, based on their characters, how you finish that match. I don't think there was a way to have Eddie Kingston quit that would have worked.
Then instead of doing the barbed wire stuff, we do knock him out. Basically, he's incapacitated. He's never said it.
No,
have him lose.
They decided that incapacitating is not allowed in this match. You have to actually say it.
Yeah, they made a note of that in commentary as well, which was.
I mean, had I booked this match, it would have been last man standing.
Yeah, last man standing match or something like that would have worked better than the I Quit because it would have fit the character better as, like I said, knocking him out and everything would kept Kingston strong. But I mean,
we played the cards we were dealt. We were dealt an I Quit match.
Another hardcore match. I'm sorry. It's just that's all Moxley does. It's all he does. He doesn't wrestle anymore. That's all he wants to do now. And AEW lets him do it. So hey.
Yeah.
He's actually
I'm hoping Kenny Omega can take the title from him.
Yeah, I mean
that's what's gonna freaking happen. That's what's gonna happen. And more likely what's gonna happen is Kingston probably cost him the belt or something like that. Omega takes it because of Kingston.
He doesn't really do that stuff, so they don't do dusty finishes.
No, they will. For this one, they will. They will. For Omega, yeah, they will. Because Moxley hasn't been pinned yet, and they'll do that. They'll do that to get the belt off, and then when he does a rematch, Moxley will get pinned that time and everything like that, and they'll go from there. So Moxley will lose the belt, not actually get pinned to lose the belt, but then going for the belt, he'll lose that time as a pin. Okay. That's how they'll do it.
I mean,
either way, as we were talking about the other match, the over-reliance on blood on this pay-per-view.
I'm telling you, that's why this is again. This whole show was just to me. That's my thing.
I don't think prior to this match and like the other matches where it happened, I think they were incidental, like not on purpose. Obviously, Ultimate Deletion was on purpose, and this match was on purpose. I don't think the stuff that happened in like the tag match was on purpose or the first match.
It's
like people get cut, like because the ring is sharp. There's stuff like that happens. I don't think anyone was like blading.
I don't know anymore. I really don't know about AEW anymore. So they could be doing it all they want. I mean, everybody does what they want willy nilly. So hey, maybe they were just doing it.
I'll be honest. I think I can honestly say I think I like, despite how I felt about how the Elite Deletion match went, I actually enjoyed this quite a bit. But then again, I think for me it was more about the emotional investment in the wrestlers than the actual match. Because I had even mentioned because I've known about Eddie Kingston for a while now. Like I watched his work in the Indies, especially in Chikara, and so there was something about seeing Eddie taking on Jon Moxley in like the main event of a national, even worldwide pay-per-view, with Bryce Remsburg, who I've even talked to for podcasts and stuff as the referee. So I had a lot of investment in that aspect of it. So I think that might have I would say maybe that had an effect on how I felt about the match.
Match. For me as a fan, barbed wire and thumbtacks.
No, I mean
that's if I see
that's totally fair. Like I think my main thing was that for those particular wrestlers, it made the most sense to have that stuff in there.
Oh, it does make sense.
So, yeah,
it's my personal preference. I don't like this. Barbed wire and thumbtacks immediately turn me off. I know they make sense because they were deathmatch wrestlers. A decade ago.
No, so I mean that's.
And I'm just grateful that we didn't get light tubes too.
And again, this is more like I said, that's why I totally understand. Like normally, like I remember watching my first death match like 2 years ago at an indie show. I was surprised by this, but like again, for me it was more about the investment in the story and the characters and the wrestlers involved. And overall I enjoyed the match. I do agree that it felt a little anticlimactic, just because like I wasn't sure how they were going to address having, like, I kind of figured Eddie would eventually have to say I quit, but it was something in
well, yeah, they definitely do, because they were not going to do a dusty
like there was
finish on
something
it,
in the way that was done that felt a little off. But I
Well,
mean, other than that, I enjoyed the match overall. So
sometimes you need to do a dusty finish. I mean, I understand that, but sometimes you
I don't
would
think they
need
need
to do
to do
that
it
and it
here.
works in there.
Not an I Quit match. Not after WWE tried to do it either, like a week ago.
No, you could do it better. It's just a way you could do it and it works. But again, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, one, you knew Kingston was going to win it. They're not gonna give Kingston the belt like that. No way. I already knew that. So I mean, I went into there expecting Moxley to win. It's just how he's going to do it. And so yeah, it was okay. It was an okay match. If I take my critic goggles off and just put it as a watch, it's okay. I mean, but again, it should not be. That should not be. Your champion should not. Forget it.
it's fine.
I'm not.
It's
I'm
fine.
good.
Like I said, I understand. Like whether it's the hardcore aspect of it or just how the finish happened, I can understand the feeling.
And for me, take away the barbed wire and the thumbtacks, and I'd probably enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you didn't need to do
Those
that.
two things are the things that make me uncomfortable in wrestling.
Match. Just kind of
like,
regular wrestling match.
They could have gone. They could have gone through 20 tables. Like I'll watch you go through tables all day. But the moment was barbed wire or thumbtacks introduced.
In an I Quit match, I mean, you could have did, if you want to use chairs, tables for the I Quit match and use the chair to choke him and try to make him say I quit because he's choking him out with a chair or something like that.
Yeah, for me that's fine. Like I
could have done that.
I don't like the thumbtacks.
When you bring the thumbtacks in there, when you bring that in there, and the barbed wire, when you bring that in there, it's like, okay, why are we? You don't need to do that now. It's
yeah, but it's fine. All right, you guys want to grade the show?
Sure.
James, I'm afraid to ask, but
I'll give it a C-. I really was not. I mean, I did like the Shida Nyla Rose match. I thought that was okay. I mean, I like the pre-show. I like Serena Deeb. I thought she should have been on the regular show, but overall it was okay. I mean, it was an okay show. Other than most of it was predictable. Most of it was predictable. I was shocked by Cody and Cody losing that one. That one did shock me. I thought Cody would keep it and everything.
You should be happier. You won the prediction contest.
No, I mean, it was predictable. I shouldn't be happy. I'll be that I can predict them now, and that we're actually really watching AEW, and I predicted mostly everything. That I should be happy about that. But the Cody thing, and I know you guys probably talked about it before. And I know I was out, but I didn't understand Cody dropping to Darby just to have Darby get destroyed now. Okay, forget it. C-.
I mean, after a match, they're exhausted.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but
it makes sense.
You have Darby win the belt. Why couldn't Darby take the belt off, say, Mr. Brody Lee? He had Darby come in.
Well, like I said, I think he's off the show for health-related reasons as opposed to storyline.
But he wasn't there 2 weeks ago when they did it, so I mean,
he's been off the show for a month now.
Since he lost it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's probably the reason then. Maybe he lost it, but still.
Remember, he lost it abruptly because of health reasons. Like we can't fault the storyline going that way.
Right. Okay. That's a fair point
for that.
But you still.
You can't say he should have taken it from Brody Lee when Brody Lee can't be there to defend the title because of health issues.
But
injured.
But it's just, I don't know.
That's why he had to drop the belt.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
All right. Alex, you're great.
I'm probably going to be the nicest about all this. I'm going to give it a solid B. I really enjoyed the matches overall. There were some moments that made it a little bit of a dip for me. My main I think my main gripe that keeps me from giving this an A is like I felt like the main like storyline progressions throughout the show came in the form of the video packages and like an occasional backstage interview here and there. Mm-hmm. And see, for example, one thing we glossed over because we mainly covered the matches was the appearance of Lance Archer and Jake Roberts, mainly to address the fact that Lance is ready to take on whoever is the champion coming out of the pay-per-view.
Problem is he's not the number one contender. Kenny Omega is, so he's gonna have to do something else.
Yeah, and that's actually a fair point. So it's stuff like that did take away from the overall quality of the show, but the matches themselves I thought were really good overall. So that's why I give it a solid B.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a B because I thought the matches were good. And I actually thought the story progression was good. Just some random beats in Ultimate Deletion in the main event that just turned me off from the show a bit. So, but I mean, most of the matches I'd rate pretty highly, except for maybe those two matches. And actually, Ultimate Deletion I enjoyed. It's just the finish I didn't enjoy. So, if I had to rank the matches, I'd put the main event at the bottom. But not because it was bad, but because of the way they structured it. It just doesn't appeal to me. But yeah, solid B. Good effort.
All right. So, with that, we'll start to wrap things up. We will address one other thing, which is the predictions leaderboard coming out of this. We have an interesting situation in that we have finally come full circle on who takes the punishment. As James and I tied for the first place in this show with 8 points apiece. And our friend Chris only got 6 right.
Got 9. That's what I got right. All 9.
So, Chris, Chris gets
punishment.
to enjoy the fall/winter spice treatment that we discussed earlier, or that we discussed on Thursday.
Yeah, I'll do it Thursday. I have all the spices in the cabinet, so it's no big deal.
Mm-hmm.